So, Isaac, welcome to the podcast. And why don't you start off by telling everyone a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Thank you for having me, Adam. My pleasure being invited as a guest to your special show. I started as a carer in the care sector, did become a nurse manager. With the help of my team and the director, we managed to get outstanding twice. Second time it was outstanding in all the domains. Then I did consulting for about 4 or 5 years for care homes, auditing, mock inspections type of work. I have also written a book called How to Get Outstanding, which is in Amazon. Then I acquired a care home last year in Devon, which was a closing care home due to CQC regulatory issues. We managed to turn it around, and it's now a successful operating care home.
Right. Fabulous, fabulous. So let's get straight in. So let's kind of paint a scenario, which maybe let's imagine you are managing a care home. It's let's say it's at the lower end of good according to CQC. So you might have 4 out of 5 good ticks on your CQC report. It's 5, isn't it? Have I got that correct?
Sorry?
There's 5 main categories on the
Yes.
Yes, good. All right, okay. So you are good, and that's great. But you want to get to outstanding. So what do you first need to do when thinking about this, Isaac?
It starts with top leadership. So the vision has to start from the director or owner of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And they also should have a culture of continuous learning and improvement. So that's the foundation. You shouldn't be stagnant. You should always be moving forward, looking for the other things to do to improve the care that we provide. And from a manager perspective, one of the issues that I have come across in the sector is managers usually limit their continuous education at the level of level 5 diploma in healthcare leadership and management. So having knowledge is very important, and continuous knowledge and knowing about management strategies, leadership, going beyond level 5 diploma in leadership management is very important. So the foundation is to start with leadership, fixing the leadership. So basically the manager needs to be very knowledgeable about CQC fundamental standards and the rating characteristics. They should speak the same language as like a CQC inspector. So when we speak the same language, there's no CQC inspectors will know that we are also informed, and we make decision based on the CQC regulations, which I think when running a care home, just following the CQC regulation itself is enough to provide great care. I think rather than seeing it as a scary thing, if you study deeply about CQC regulations, that's all is needed to provide amazing care. So having a good understanding of CQC regulation is important, and there's a specific document called CQC rating characteristics. I think the managers will have to spend probably a week deeply studying that rating characteristic document and try to match their evidence with the rating characteristic and keep it ready for the inspectors to have a look at it. So it's very CQC inspectors spend time in a care home 1 or 2 days, and they are actually rushing to go to the next care home, do the rating, and it goes on and on. So it is very important that the managers prepare the evidence, give it to them in a very simplified format, so that you do like 80% of the work for them, and then there will not be much resistance in granting the rating that you deserve.
Yeah, I see. And the first thing you said was about the directors or owners, having a culture of continuous learning and improvement.
Yep.
What if they don't?
I think that's the first step of failure. Being stagnant, not listening to our own. The best solutions are bought by our own staff. I run a care home now. The most cost-effective, most effective solutions are brought from the people working in the front line. So if I don't listen to them, I can't really move forward in the right direction.
I guess,
And
I guess probably what I was getting at was that, if if maybe the manager has a good sense of this, continuous, learning and improvement, but the owners, maybe directors, don't, and it's maybe falls on the own as a responsibility of the manager to start to implement it. So I guess probably what I'm getting at is I guess if you have a supportive owners and directors, that's one thing, but it may be a bit more difficult. Tell me what you think is if the owners and directors don't see as you see it
Uh,
as a manager.
Most of the care homes that I have visited, most of the owners are very supportive, and there are exceptions as well.
Yeah,
In such case, as a manager, you will have a lot of freedom yourself as a registered person of a care home to implement a lot of changes.
yeah,
And anything the owner is preventing you from delivering safe or good care
mm,
is actually a breach of regulation, which, as a registered manager, you are supposed to report it to the authorities and move forward.
mm.
So, when the resistance is too high and it's not worth your time, I would advise people to move on to an organization that respect their knowledge, skills, etc.
Yeah, yeah, understood. Got it, got it. And because, that happens, we see it, sadly. Good. Okay, great. So, yeah, the CQC ratings characteristics, so important, as you say, to
Yes.
embed the language of the CQC culture and what they're looking for. And of course, that's absolutely vital. Um, and tell me about in terms of leadership as well of your care team, what's kind of really required on that level to start to get closer to the outstanding status.
Uh, I think leadership at the front line is very, very important. So most of the managers are, uh, not most of the managers. I would say, yeah, there is always a fear of, there's always managers' fears that, I think I got it wrong. You probably will have to edit this, but I'll start again.
Sure.
So,
It all sounds good to me, Isaac, so I don't know what you could have possibly got wrong.
So frontline leadership is very, very important. More we empower our frontline team to be knowledgeable and do the work properly, that's when the most of the successful care homes are run when the manager is not around. So how your care home is run during the weekends is a true reflection of what really the culture of the company is.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, people need supervisions. People need support and training and mentoring, etc. But how much they are capable of themselves in running that care home properly when we are not around, that's
Mm.
what matters. I think in order to develop that, it's a work of minimum 6 months to get there.
Yeah, yeah, I see. And in terms then of this particularly around recruitment and retention and building a good working culture, and perhaps the values and maybe emphasizing and what perhaps how your care home and culture is special and different to anyone else who's also trying to hire your team. Tell me what you need to do here from your experience.
In terms of recruitment, yes, in some remote locations of the UK, recruitment will be difficult.
Mm,
From my experience, people don't just move from one care home to the another for 50p increase or £1 increase. It's usually the culture and the leadership that's actually causing the problem for people to move on. So I think recruitment is a problem for those care homes who doesn't know how to look after their staff properly, because the demand or the need from the staff is very, very limited. All they need is a good working culture, the listening managers, listening owners, yes, reasonable pay. That's all they need, and give them progression as well. One of the things that I always tell my staff is, while you're spending time in my care home, you make sure that you don't feel like, when you look back, you don't feel like you have wasted time with me. So it's very important that they develop their career progression as well, and I provide those opportunities for them too.
yeah, yeah, I see. I see. Is there when you are hiring from manager down to well again, let's keep it in the eyes of a manager hiring hiring his or her team. What do you look for in people who are wanting to work for you or applying to work for you in the first place?
Attitude, foundation attitude, experience is good, but it can be also a red flag. I always look for attitude, their family circumstances, how they both the career history as well. So if somebody stayed somewhere 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, and they keep on jumping, the history always predicts the future. So
Mm.
it's very unlikely that person will move forward from like 10 jobs and stay in one place. It's never going to happen. So always look for the history, the attitude, the familiar circumstances, and that how the person come across during the interview as well. So it's more
Mm.
about the emotional intelligence, and at least if they're able to smile on the day of inspection or on the day of interview, that's the main thing.
Yeah, yeah, I see. Okay, okay, great. And again, let's just maybe turn towards this outstanding status, which I think from the numbers 580 versus over 14,792, which I think we calculated. Your math is probably better than mine, but around about 5%. That's 5%, roughly correct.
Yep.
How do you get there? 5%, that's 5 out of 100. How do you get there? What is, what is their difference? What exceptional that will get you over that line in terms of your team, in terms of all of those standards that well-led medicine management, the whole caboodle, safety, etc., that will get you to that outstanding status? Is there something that when as you've done it, you've been there and done it,
Yep.
is there something that you look back and okay, well, there was two or three really main ways I felt that it was achieved.
So we had outstanding twice. It was the second time we got outstanding in all the domains, and first time it was sort of like we didn't recognize that we were outstanding. We got it because we had the evidence, even though we haven't realized it. Second time, I was a bit more prepared, and I was more educated on the secrecy regulations during that time. So when I reflect back, we could have achieved on the first inspection itself if I knew how to prepare the evidence and how to match that to keep it ready for them. So
So
in
you
terms
did it without even consciously being aware you were getting to it. So congratulations.
I mean, it was a teamwork and amazing team. I still have contacts with all of them,
Right.
uh, and very friendly staff. The team that I have now is also very good. Uh, I- so when looking back, if educating ourselves is very important. I think under each category, there are 24 Chloes. That's changing to quality statements. The CQC hasn't actually released similar documents such as the rating characteristic in the new inspection process yet. So that's a bit of gray area now. But in terms of all the domains, in terms of medication management, if you look at how to get outstanding, so you're supposed to. So one of the criteria for medicine management is how you're actually enabling somebody to manage their own medicines by themselves. So it can be an example of that person doing the medicine by themselves, or even though they have a lot of limitation, the provider has done A, B, and C in order to help that person to be independent managing their own medicine. So those examples will be considered as outstanding in that particular domain. So in terms of leadership, working in partnership with other people, I think W3. So basically, having a relationship with local nursery, intergenerational stuff. So in each domain, you need at least one or two or three projects or something that you have actually done over and beyond. You can pitch it to the inspectors. That will help you.
Yeah, I see. And you're on the cold face of delivering care. And when I look at the business I run, which of course, in many ways, many ways to running a care home. But one of the ways that's always struck me is the the standards, the documents, to use the bureaucracy parlance, the tick boxing that you have to go through to pass the CQC and to get the various ratings. So there has to be, yeah, as a manager, you have to be really on top of it, right? Am I correct? Am I right or
Yes.
wrong? And very, very organized on understanding all those elements to the CQC domains and categories, because you can't miss anything.
I would probably
Correct?
partially disagree to it.
Okay.
Even outstanding rated care homes are not perfect. There are areas where would be highlighted as needing improvement, although it is not reflected in the report. There will be minor things.
Yeah. 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 And in terms of yourself and characteristics of being a manager of an outstanding home, do you think the organizational elements and being very systematic makes a difference, or not so much?
Definitely, being a manager of a care home is very, very overwhelming. It can be. Uh, uh, so the person has to be really productive. One of the books that I recommend to all the people that I know is Productivity Ninja. That book really helped me to, uh, as a like a thermometer, I would say. So I will come back to that book when I am overwhelmed. So it helps me to go on the track again. Yes,
Right.
being productive is very important. Uh, or time organization skills, how you focus on, creative things in the morning, and then you do all the meetings and everything in the afternoon. Uh, having a schedule in the calendar, and then going home and recovering and spending time with the family. Uh, so it's all very important. Self introspection is very important for managers because their well-being reflects on the well-being of the resident as well. So if the manager turns out with a grumpy face, the entire team will be down. So we don't want that to happen. So look after yourself first.
Yeah, and very, very interesting, and I understand how important it is. And in terms of managing your time and having a control over your time, and I imagine there's well, there will be a huge amount of pressure for your time to be taken away onto other things and distractions. Just go into a little bit more about what you think it takes to be able to have control, a degree of control over your diary, over what you're doing during a day.
Mostly from my observation, distractions happens when the frontline team is not capable of managing themselves. So they come to you for everything. So if they are managing their own work very well, the manager will get less disturbed during their work.
Yeah.
But it can still happen. You have a relative coming in and knocking the door, you still have to speak to them.
Yes.
Uh, but there's a lot of quiet time as well. Uh,
Mm.
so not to overwhelm with the things, have five things in the list, get it done. And when you get it done, don't look for another five things to do. Just have a relaxed day, spend the time with the residents or maybe take them out for a walk rather than
Yes.
doing more.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Great. Fabulous. Um, great tips and advice here and insights. And thank you, Isaac. Um, is there anything we've not covered that you think is important to cover?
This is my uh, area of expertise. So if you continue the conversation for next 2 hours, I will be still happy to
I
So,
have no doubt. I have no doubt.
uh,
Um,
we'll still have to put a stop somewhere. But I'm more than happy to share, anything that I have learned. I'm still learning.
mm,
There's a lot of things that's changing next year in terms of CQC, so managers will have to have some close time for themselves to learn all those things, new things as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. And So, if for those who are listening and they maybe want to plug into your brain a little bit more and get some more insights from you, Isaac, where can they reach you?
They can, the best place to get in touch will be LinkedIn. So
Okay,
they can DM me and or send an email to hello@outstandingcarehomes.co.uk.
brilliant, right, brilliant, Isaac. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this for the sector.